帮我们 highlight 一下，好吗？帮我们 recap 一下。OK， 那我们现在就开始。OK，let's get this one started. Before I actually start introducing Leo，
哎呦，他怎么跑这么快？
啊，麻烦您关一下话筒好吗？
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It happened to me as well sometimes. All right, so I promised Leo to give him a surprise before I start introducing him. Ta-ta! Here's the surprise. Do you remember this one, Leo? You do?
Yeah.
Nice. 这张照片，如果我没有记错的话，应该是你11年级的时候，或者10年级的时候，所以大概是6年前吧，应该是6年前了，6、7年前的样子。这个是我们叫黄埔17哈，当时我们叫黄埔17，就是我们第一批的debate队员，第一次带出多伦多以外参加debate比赛，这个是在渥太华大学，我们带到渥太华大学去参加debate比赛，然后 Leo 是我们的黄埔17，现在坐在这个 C 位的这位坐在正中央的这位就是我们现在的Leo 老师。那我对 Leo 是非常熟悉，然后也非常喜欢那他现在是在他是 White Oak 高中IB program 毕业他现在是在滑铁卢大学读这个 Computer Science 和 BBA 就 Business Administration 的这个双学位了double degree 他在过去的这个学习当中，因为大家知道沃特鲁大学的这个实习他在 Rogers 在 CRA 就是加拿大这个 Canadian Revenue Agency 都做过实习工作so I'll do a quick one in English as well. So Leo is currently pursuing his double degree at University of Waterloo for computer science and business administration, and he has worked at Rogers and CRA. And Leo, obviously, you can see from the picture, he was a LinkedKey graduate. He been, a LinkedKey debate student for a few years. And all right, so without further ado, I'm going to turn the podium to Leo. And Leo, it's yours.
All right, thank you. Let me quickly screen share my presentation. Let's get started. Okay. 滑铁卢大学 Computer Science and Business Administration 说明会当然of course other than the Waterloo I'm also in Laurier, so there's that 当然一点有趣的小历史哈，Laurier 和滑铁卢在好长之前其实是同一所学校，但是在1战还是2战的时候，加拿大政府就是为了发展加拿大的科技，结果把滑铁卢从 Laurier 分离出来了。就为什么你有可能去看滑铁卢，它可能会缺一些比较像是 Laurier 会有这种 music 呀这种那个两个合在一起才更像是一个完整的大学，但是单独的每个大学有单独的每个大学的整体一套 ecosystem. Okay, but anyways, back to the topic. Today I'll be talking about computer science and business administration. Okay, firstly, before when I made the slides, I didn't expect 我们的校长 to introduce me. So I actually have a bit of a little self-introduction here. You guys already know I'm in 3rd year CS BBA. I'm currently in 3rd year, but because this is but in this semester I'm technically in my 4th year because I'm learning my 4A courses. So technically I'm a 4th year student, but in terms of this is my 3rd official year in university, but I'm taking my 4th year courses. I have co-op experiences at Roger and CRA. Nothing that flashy. My interest, I'm in the photography club, anime club, and the cooking club. All these 3 clubs are pretty fun. A somewhat big part of my university life. I've been a teacher at LinkedKey, and I've also been a debater at LinkedKey since I was very young. And I teach math in LinkedKey. And interesting fact about me is that I like playing piano and guitar. So I'm really into music. So a little roadmap of what we're going to be doing today. I'll be firstly bring over a program overview that is like involves things like what we'll be learning, what you need to prepare for in order to get into the course. And then I'll be talking about course selection, which is what course you need to select in university. This is important to differentiate from your high school course selection. I'll then be going into the importance of time management and a few little tricks. And then I'll be going to the importance of co-op opportunities and how to find a good co-op. And lastly, I'll be touching about networking the university and professional development. 那中文也说一遍，我最开始第一步我要说，就是我这个 CS BBA 的一个 program overview， 就是我在 CS BBA 里头会学什么，你要想要进入我的 program 的话，你需要做一些什么准备。然后我会聊一聊我们的课，你上大学之后你需要选择哪些课程因为有很多的，因为 CSBBA 它的要求还有很多不同的要求，毕竟2个学校的，所以你有很多的要注意的要选的课程。然后其3是时间管理大学时间管理很重要哈，我会给你们几个我比较喜欢的小窍门然后是 co-op， 就是我们工作你怎么找工作，然后为什么找工作很重要。然后最后教你一些跟人 networking 和一些就是networking 中文也不会说社交就是这方面的一些小知识点。OK， 我们开始吧。
你开始之前我多插一句哈，就我觉得我不知道你有没有准备，可能我觉得大家会对你高中期间的一些学习，尤其是数学方面的学习可能会非常感兴趣这个地方刚才我说到这个 Leo 在 LinkedKey 的时间的时候，其实应该讲我们的王老师是慧眼识珠了，就是能够发觉 Leo 是一个非常棒的一个数学老师哈，所以我觉得你也可以多讲一些你高中期间的一些，包括 IB 的一些选课呀，数学方面的一些学习啊，然后这些对你的这个整个的大学申请刚才我们讲的这个 double degree 的这个申请的帮助等等，我相信很多人会对这些部分应该蛮有兴趣。
OK， 我会讲的。
OK，
待会儿有一个 slide， 差不多在那块讲。OK， 先
Great，
说program overview。你来到这个 program 你会学什么？首先你会学 fundamental mathematics， 这个是比较跟普通的不像是计算这种东西，更多是很富有逻辑性的，就是需要你大脑进行很深的思考的那种数学的东西 ，very high level stuff. Okay, so fundamental mathematics, really hard. It's quite abstract. It's very different from what you would learn from in high school, because in high school it's more applicable to real life. In university, it's more of exploring the deeper logics behind mathematics. It's really cool. It's cool if you like logic, but it's not as applicable to real life. There's also, but of course, it's applicable to computing, to computer science, which is why you're learning it. Computer programming, this is talking about the physical programming itself. It's talking about how to structure your code so it's more maintainable in the future. Good coding habits, like for example, constantly saving backups and saving like check marks, stuff like that. You'll be also learning data structures and algorithms. For those of you who do computer science contests, those will be a familiar term. These are basically ways that you can optimize your program for it to run faster for a given task. You'll also be learning software engineering, which is all about how to basically piece together an app, what different architecture you would kind of need, what stack of different developing tools you would need, piecing to get those together. Operating system, in a deeper level, how does your computer operate? This goes deep, very specifically into even bits in your memory where you would keep specific information, very deep level stuff like that, as well as the social implications. This one is usually not seen as important because a lot of computer scientists don't really do social implications that much, but it is a very important aspect, especially in our quickly evolving society today. Tomorrow we don't know what the world would look like, and us computer scientists will play a big role in it because everything today is largely based on a code. So we want to make sure we make ethical decisions. Okay. This is just a quick overview of what you'll be learning in the program. And And then from the business side, you'll be learning finance, accounting, marketing, organization behavior. I'm sure most these are somewhat familiar terms: finance, accounting, marketing, how you promote your products, organization behavior, how you manage your organization, business communication, the importance of communication between different people. You also do learn one course of business law, which I found pretty interesting, but some people might find boring. Also human resource management and business policy. A lot of big words here. Okay, but just to give you the reason why I'm doing this is to give you a concept of how much you'll be learning. So double degree, unlike normal single degrees, we learn a very broad range of topics. You might not be able to see my hand, but very broad range of topics. Okay, as can be suggested by the name double degree. We're a combination of two singular degrees, and especially because CS and business have been usually totally different realms, you'll be spanning your legs in a bunch of different territories. So it might need some adaptation from time to time. Okay. So now we talk about the co-op sequence. Okay, so this is where the juice begins. So you have 5 years of university, and in each year of university, your time is kind of sessioned into 3 portions. So 4 months per term, and every term you do something. Okay, and in between terms, there's not really that much of a break. Like maybe if your exam's early and you get lucky, you can get like 2 weeks of continuous break between your terms, but you don't really get that much rest time, which is something important to know. It's pretty stressful, not going to lie, being in a co-op sequence. So in the first year, you'll start with your two study terms, and then your third term will be your work term. Okay. For other programs in Waterloo, there's options for other sequences, but for double degrees like us, we only have the sequence option for like pretty much for the first 2 years. Of course, for year 2, you're going to be starting with a study term, then going to a work term, and then going to another study term. Okay, so this is generally, so you can keep reading the list if you want to see all the different other timelines of when you'll be taking courses, but this is the general sequence that you'll be doing all your stuff in. Okay, so as I was saying, for other degrees, they might have different options. They might have different options to choose from but for us double degrees, this is pretty much the only template we have. But if you look on their website, they do have other choices, though the other choices differ starting from, I think, year 3. So they don't really, so for the first 2 years, your time is pretty much set there in stone. That being said, our course coordinators are pretty flexible. So if you were to have something that you need to accommodate for, they could help you accommodate for it. It's because for me, I'm currently not enrolled in this official co-op sequence because I moved my work term 3 to I basically just moved my work term 3 down the list so that I have work term 3 and 4 together. So I have an 8-month co-op. So that's why I'm currently on year 3, end of year 3, but on my 4A term. So the advisors are quite flexible because if you do need accommodation, they would help you. But generally, this is the list that you'll be going into for the next 5 years. Okay. And because we don't really have like any breaks like conventional university students, your work term will kind of be a bit of relaxation from your heavy study load. Okay, so a long future awaits you. So now this is the juice. I'm sure this is why most of you guys are here, and I'll spend a lot of time on this slide. And this is what you need to prepare for before applying to university. Okay, so but when I applied, Laurier and Waterloo had different admission averages. But as I checked earlier this year and just recently before I did the presentation, both universities are requiring mid-90s average to get into this program. So it's a very ambitious, very prestigious program. Okay. But the thing about averages is that once you hit that average, so if you're below that average, you really need to get your average up, right? Because you need to hit that mid-90s average mark. Once you hit that mark, it starts mattering significantly less, and universities start looking at your other factors to determine if they want to get you in. And I'll get into a more specific example about that later. Another important thing is extracurriculars. All right. Extracurriculars in Waterloo, I asked their admissions officer. They said they're not really looking for an extremely broad or narrow set of extracurriculars. All they want to see is that when you're doing extracurriculars, they want to see you do good in them. Okay. So this is important because you don't want to just be doing 100 random things, right? You want to be centralizing your time and your effort onto whatever you can. So if you have the effort, if you can sustain like 5 different extracurriculars and you can get all of them really good, like you can be in DECA, top level in Canada, as well as debate top level in Canada, as well as doing math contest top level in Canada, and all those different things, then go ahead. You're too cool. But if you don't really have the time and energy to maintain that many extracurriculars, make sure all the extracurriculars you're focusing on is good. Okay, that's the key point on how to get into the program. In terms of and very good extracurriculars that Waterloo specifically is looking for is the math contest and CS contest hosted by Waterloo. So this includes Euclid, Canadian Intermediate Math contest, and for the CS contest it is the CCC. Okay, so put your and also the Canadian Senior Mathematics contest, all these contests, because they're hosted by Waterloo. The reason why Waterloo wants them is because high schools have a different standard when their standard of teaching math vary from between high schools. So this is kind of a calibration factor that Waterloo uses to see to determine, oh, your school says you're a 92 at math, but let's see if you're actually a 92. Maybe you're a 96. I don't know. But Waterloo uses your kind of math marks to determine relatively to other people across the country how good you are actually at what you're doing. Okay. And the last point that I'm making about this is that you need to make sure you take the required courses. Okay, so for CSBBA, they require calculus, they require advanced function, they require a grade 12 English, and I think that might be it. I'll double check on my notes on that later during the Q&A if anyone asks, but you can easily check on their course website what the required courses are. So make sure you don't miss any of those, because if you miss any of them, you're not getting in. Okay. Important thing to note, CS is not a required course for the computer science program. It's because some schools don't offer it, but it is strongly suggested that you take computer science. So now let's talk about what I did in high school. Okay, so in high school, I was in the IB program, International Baccalaureate. It was quite stressful. And the lucky thing for me is IB programs give you conversions, which kind of help boost your average. So my average was somewhat boosted in the 96. Yeah, and and in terms of extracurriculars, before I talk about extracurriculars, let's talk about how to get a proper good math average, because getting good math averages is really hard in high school, especially in academic. Okay, because for me, I had IB, which kind of boosted my mark, but my sister is an academic, and I see the struggles of academic. The problem is for IB, you can make a few mistakes, but academic, you got to be spot on with your knowledge. You can't make any mistakes at all. If you make mistake your average, you can see your average plummet, which is kind of scary. Okay, so it's really important in maintaining a good average in high school. And in terms of the university perspective, looking at it from a university student, it is also very important to make sure like you actually know your stuff. Because if you don't know what you learned in high school and you go to university and you hit those first year courses, it's going to be kind of stressful for you, not going to lie. Now let's move on to extracurriculars. So extracurriculars, for this part, I'm going to be focusing on the non-contest part. So for me, I did debate in high school. I started a film and design club, which ended up becoming, when I was there, was the second biggest club at WASP behind DECA. So I'm super proud of that. Apart from that, I also did a junior achievement, which is like a kind of business activity where like you end up kind of starting your own company and developing a product, going through all these stages as of an early startup. It's a really cool experience. I would strongly suggest you guys to check it out. And apart from that, I was also executives at the robotics club and the computer science and math club, but I didn't get too much achievement there because I was mostly just kind of teaching some fun stuff to members, and that's about it for my extracurriculars. In terms of math and CS contests, I did the Euclid. I do not remember my score, but my Euclid score I don't think was outrageously high. I did the CCC, which is the Canadian Computing Contest. That's like the coding contest from Waterloo. I did get onto the honor roll for that, so lucky for me. And it's probably why Waterloo took me into their program. But in terms of contest prep, it is very important to start prepping early if you want to get a very high mark. Okay. And in terms of prepping early, I mean actually prepping instead of procrastinating. So when you're preparing for a math contest, you firstly want to make sure you have enough sleep. Okay, I'll get down to the sleep point later on because it's kind of repeating theme in my life. Because if you don't have enough sleep, your brain don't turn as fast. And for math contests, you need to have your brain turning fast enough in order to solve the question, right? And if you're saying, "Oh, I only need to sleep enough for the actual contest," well, if you don't solve questions in your practice, you're not going to solve questions in your contest. So it's very important to do enough practices. Get enough sleep when you're doing those practices and actually do those practices, because a lot of people, when they're practicing for a math or CS contest, they kind of slack off and get distracted. They'd be like, "Oh, wait, our neighbor is playing basketball. Let me join them." So that's clearly not the best option to do when you're preparing for a very hard math contest. So what I would suggest is Euclid. They nicely provide all their past contests on their course website. Right. So instead of speeding past them, like hard grinding them, I would suggest you take your time, solve each individual question. And if you don't know how to solve that question, don't look at the answer immediately. Pause for a second, maybe move on to a different question, and then come back to it. Come back to it like 3 or 4 times. If you still can't solve it, then look to the answer. Okay, so give each question multiple tries before giving up and looking up the answer for it. And I find that really help extend your mathematical thinking, which is a very important ability in doing math contests. And in terms of the required courses, there is not that much to say. It's all listed on their website. Just make sure you take those, and you're doing fine. Okay. I am not sure if I hit all my important talking points that you guys would want me to hit, but if there's any questions, make sure to hit me up in the Q&A. Moving on, course selection. So this is going to be your first year courses. Okay. Your first year courses, if you're taking CS BBA, will be exactly what I listed on my on my screen here. So Math 135, that's algebra for honor mathematics. That's kind of like this course is somewhat of a review in high school. So from what I remember, it had things like different functions, like somewhat like your grade 11 course where you kind of sketch the function. There's things like that. For calculus for honor mathematics, that's just calculus. So an important thing to note for these first 2 courses, right, is they're aimed at getting they have a, so how would I explain this? So before September school starts, coming right after in like a week or 2, or like maybe a month or 2, you guys new students, before you enter first year, Waterloo actually give you like a small course to kind of catch you up onto to make sure your math is still fresh, just so like you don't like stop math for a whole 2 months and end up forgetting it. And Math 135, 137 is aimed for bringing your level up to like the same level as everyone else. But that's saying it's not cutting you any slack, because you're still learning new stuff, right? So let's say let me do an analogy here. So let's say some high school teach at this level in high school, some high school teach at this level, and this is what you're learning after university, right? So if you're starting at the higher level, you just learn a normal university course load. If you're starting at the lower level, you'll be catching up, and you'll be catching up the space between and up to university, right? So even though it's planned for you to be catching up, you're still learning a lot, and it's quite I I would imagine it will be quite a high pressure, especially just coming fresh from high school, to be able to quickly adapt to these two university courses. And it's very important for you to adapt quickly because in first years, people tend to have higher GPAs. So if your GPA is slacking for first year, you're going to have a very hard time later on in the future in maintaining your GPA, because you'll be trying to earn that high GPA in that much higher course, where everyone else will be able to get somewhat of a that's not a good way to put it. Where everyone else will be having a somewhat easier time, you'll be having a very difficult time getting your GPA up. So it's very important for you to start from the beginning with that advantage of being able to ace your first year course. CS 135 is, from what I've heard, is another big struggling point for people, especially for people who started fresh on computer science. But personally, a key thing to note is do not cheat. Okay, so for my year, okay, when I was in year one, I heard that a bunch of kids was on Facebook, a Facebook group, okay, and they were sharing answers to things. And what ended up happening is they all got canceled. They all got, I think they all got kicked out of the university. I'm not 100% sure, but there's very significant consequences to cheating. So I would strongly advise against it. Okay, so that's that. But 135, it's somewhat of a challenging point in first year. And business 111 and 120 are just what the name suggests. Some people find it hard, some people find it easy, but I would say it is a lot of writing from what I remember. You need to write quite a bit, and you also need to do lab component, what we call lab, which is kind of like there's like a teaching assistant instead of the professor, like kind of going over the concepts that you learned throughout that week. It's a weekly thing, and then like you kind of do some small activities in the lab. Some people like it, some people hate it. Your miles might vary. In terms of the second half of first year, it's mostly just the upgraded version of the first year courses, with an exception of, instead of algebra, you're learning linear algebra. So linear algebra, while the concepts are not the most difficult thing in the world when compared to calculus, it's a lot of things to remember. They give you a lot of weird nouns and and a lot of concepts. So those concepts, while easier than calculus concepts, they're a lot more in terms of volume. So that might be another big struggle point. So if you have any concerns in your math, okay, because those two first year university courses are quite challenging because if you starting from high school, right? Your high school have a relatively average workload compared to university, especially Waterloo. Waterloo is one of the most stressful universities that exists around here. So you want to make sure that so that's why it's kind of stressful for you guys. I'm not sure if I'm getting the point across correctly, because I'm kind of a bit messy here. But LinkedKey do provide two courses to help you with those. One is calculus for university, and another one's linear algebra. Both of those would help you prepare for your university level courses. So if you have any if you anticipate yourself having any struggles on these courses, you might want to check them out. Might be a bit helpful. Okay, moving on. So these are the course requirements for graduation. I see I'm 7:30 here. I would like to remain some time for question and answers. So I'll be going through this a bit faster. But here's the Waterloo requirements. Here's the Laurier requirements. As you can see, there's a bunch of courses, right? And for these one-off, you just need one of these courses. But generally, all these blocks represent individual courses that you're required to take, and a lot of them have dependent relationships. For example, you have to take Stat 231 and 241, one of them, before you can take your third year business courses. Before you take your third year business courses, right? So that kind of so because of the complexity of the management of all your different courses, it introduces some challenges. So you need to make sure that like you actually spend some time thinking of what order of the courses you should choose after first year, okay? And it may or may not require you taking a course during your work, or overload for a semester. Overload meaning normal load, normally you only take 5 courses. Overload meaning you take 6 instead of 5 courses, and it requires some planning. So to help you plan, Waterloo do have planning documents, and Laurier as well, I would imagine. They have these small so if you search up University of Waterloo double degree course requirements, if you scroll through all the search results, eventually you'll find like a course checklist, which is which shows you like kind of almost in order of what a checklist and a roadmap showing you kind of like the order in a tree diagram, what order you need to take the courses, and a checklist to basically help you keep track of what courses you take and what courses you need to take next. Okay, so this is a somewhat of a pitfall because some people don't pay enough attention to course selection and end up needing to some need to, unfortunately, to end up dropping out of their degree. Like your people only need to make a schedule change, but you need to try to stay on top of your course requirements and take the correct courses. Okay, so constantly refer to this whenever you're selecting courses. So, okay, now it comes to more of the juice, time management. So time management in university is a big topic because time management is one of the harder things, especially transitioning from high school. In high school, time management, usually from my experience, I'm just speaking for myself, but for me, high school time management usually involves sleeping less, which I later understood is not necessarily the best thing to do. Okay, so let's talk about time management. So because you'll be having a bunch of different courses and your teachers won't be organizing the courses for you, meaning that your times some of your courses you might not get constant reminders that your midterm is happening like this Saturday or something. Like in high school, your teacher will constantly be telling you, oh, beware of a midterm coming. In universities, while that's usually the case, sometimes it's not the case because some professors are not as nice as others. So those professors might not necessarily warn you strictly ahead of time that you're going to have midterm. So you need to keep track of all the different deadlines for homework, for assignments, for exams, all those stuff. Okay, so a very good way of doing it is to use a calendar. Okay, so you see, I've included a link on the bottom right here. This link is to a Chrome extension, which I personally think is kind of useful. So what this Chrome extension does is I didn't develop it, it's third party, is whenever you go on Quest, the Waterloo kind of like a course selection page, you go to your timetable, you click, there's this link is going to give you a button to just download your calendar from Quest. So that means you don't need to individually type up all your courses onto your calendar for the next term. So if you click this button, you can just download this calendar, import it to your calendar, and then all your courses will be there. Okay. The Waterloo midterms are usually there, but the Laurier midterms are usually not there. So in the first week of class, your teacher will almost certainly go over the course outline. So when your teacher is going over the course outline, a good thing for you to do is instead of on TikTok or on Instagram, you might want to consider perhaps going on your Outlook calendar and marking down the midterm dates, the assignment due dates, and those would give you a really good reminder of when your dates are. Okay. And if your memory is just too good and you don't need a calendar to keep track of all those things, you just keep track of them in your mind, then you do you, bro. If you mess up, then it's all on you. But I would strongly suggest putting things on calendars to remind yourself. Okay. I've made this mistakes countless times and I wish you guys not repeat my misery. Another thing is prioritization. This is incredibly important because in universities, there's a lot of things happening, okay? And in very unfortunate situations, there may be times where assignment and exams are all present. In those cases, you need to prioritize. Do the things that matter the most to you, and then move on to the next one, okay? So if you have an exam worth like 50% of your, a midterm worth 40% of your grade, and an assignment perhaps worth 5% of your grade, in that case, you do need to prioritize studying for the midterm over your assignment. And sometimes you do need to make those decisions. But with efficient planning ahead, you can usually avoid them, but especially when you're in your second term where you'll be overloading and you're looking for co-op, that's very stressful for most new students because they need to write their new resume, write cover letters. There's a lot of things happening. So you need to prioritize what's most important for you at that time and then do that first. And prioritization, while you're making some sacrifices, usually also helps help you sorting things out, and actually help you increase your efficiency. So you usually end up getting more things done where you prioritize. Time blocking is the concept of drawing out a block of time and only focusing on one thing. So this is important because in university, things get a lot harder. So if you aren't able to focus on what you're studying, you usually end up not learning much. Okay, so somewhat different from high school. University is a bit harder. So you need to make sure you actually focus. This is where time blocking comes in. Time blocking means you draw like an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours of time, and you just focus on one thing and you forget about everything else. Okay, so during this, so important things to note before time blocking, make sure you don't have anything else due that you haven't worked on during this time block. Make sure you don't have anything else that you need to. Make sure you don't have any meetings during this time. Make sure you don't have anything else you need to do during this time. And you can just purely focus on, for example, like a Waterloo math assignment, or like a University of Wilfrid Laurier University case assignment, right? Wherever you to focus on, just take this block of time, fully concentrate and submerge into it. And this will help increase your efficiency in studying, which is the big point. And it will also help you study better, get higher grades. In terms of sleep management, I personally find sleeping very important because when you don't get enough sleep, your ability to think and your ability to work really deteriorates. That might be because I'm getting old and I'm losing hair, but I don't know. I think it's a everyone thing. So for me personally, in my heaviest semesters, I tend to try my best to make sure I get 8 hours of sleep, because with 8 hours, so for us, we're in CS, but we're in the math department. We do a lot of very logic heavy thinking things. When you're solving questions, some of these questions are actually really hard. So so your assignment, how, I don't know if this is a good thing to say, but my friend at CMU, right? So I know him, I have a high school friend. He goes to Carnegie Mellon, right? Prestigious US university. So when we're studying the similar concepts, right? What Waterloo profs tend to do is they tend to teach you part of the concepts, like the majority of the concept during class, and a small portion of a concept you need to think of yourself in your assignment. So you'll be coming up with that on the spot. While my friend, their professor teach them everything and just give them a ton of practice. So for you, so this is why you need to sleep enough, because if you don't sleep enough, your brain don't twist, your brain don't turn fast enough. Your brain don't turn fast enough. These problems can, if you can solve them, they take like an hour to write out. If you can't solve them, you need to research online, you ask around, you think a bit more, you read textbook, it accumulates to like 5, 6, or even 10 hours to solve a question. So make sure you have enough attention and enough knowledge and enough focus to solve your questions. Last but not least, certainly not least, and arguably the most important, is self-care and relaxation, okay? So to stress to you about how important this is, I'll give you a very fun story. So I went to Shad in high school, right? And one of my Shad friends went to Yale. That guy just 2 weeks ago came back and visited us in University of Waterloo. And we're walking the street. And the guy was like, I was wondering why my dorm, all the windows are sealed closed. And the engineering student's like, it's because people keep jumping off. And then we walk past the engineering building and the Yale student wonders, such a beautiful balcony. And then the engineering student be like, it's sealed off because everyone keeps jumping off. So this is a very important topic in Waterloo, okay? Because we do experience very high stress levels. So you want to make sure you do get enough self-care and relaxation. So to avoid extremely negative consequences, okay? So you want to make sure that you stay in a relatively healthy mental state at all times, okay? Sometimes this could mean when you have to give up something, sometimes you might have to give up something, right? Things happen in life. It's not the end of the world, because it's just one, it's at worst, it's just one term of studying that goes super wrong, right? Like you always have that, you can always redo whatever course you need next term. And even if you don't get the most prestigious degree ever in Canada, even if you have to drop out of CS, hey, there's tons of other people that do that too. There's no problem with dropping out of CS. Most of your life achievements matters from what you do in work, not what you do in university. So while you might feel high levels of social pressure, make sure that you take proper care of yourself. And if you ever feel any overwhelming stress level and you don't have anyone to reach out to, feel free to reach out to me. My email is me@leochai.com. Really easy to remember, just my name. Okay, so make sure you get enough self-care and relaxation. This is very important. Co-op opportunities. This is another big thing, especially in university. So in co-op opportunity, so co-op is important because you go to university, you find jobs, right? And co-ops is pretty much finding jobs, right? So this is kind of like your end goal. So arguably, co-op opportunities might be more important than your actual university learning. So important things to know for co-op opportunities is you got to write your resume and cover letter. A good resource for that is you can go onto Google and search up Harvard resume guide or something along the lines of that. And then the US Harvard, their guide on how to write resumes and cover letter will show up. So that's usually what I follow whenever I'm making changes to my resume or cover letter. Time management also important, but I previously touched upon, especially in second year, where you have courses, which usually means assignment and midterms, as well as applying to jobs happening at the same time. It's really stressful. For me, I ended up getting like an average of 3 hours sleep per day during that 1 or 2 week, which is kind of scary. Interview preparation. So interview preparation, this could mean, good things to do is like looking up common questions for interviews, for interviews for like program software jobs. They would usually involve some technical aspect, meaning like coding, something like that. So for those, you can look at, you can go onto websites such as DMOD, or a more popular one for interview preparation is LeetCode. Okay, and you can grind some questions there. But if you do programming contests in high school, you're mostly set. It's very similar. Side projects. You want to maintain a healthy level of side projects. Do things on the side while you're learning. These would really add to your resume, especially before you have any job experience, and applying to a lot of jobs, because sending resumes do not have the highest rate of success. So you want to send as much resume as possible to different job positions across your university, and even externally because for Waterloo, we have an internal job board where companies directly post job postings for Waterloo students. You can also apply externally, meaning you go apply on like things like LinkedIn, Indeed, externally, where you're competing with everyone else. But you are competing with everyone else, non-Waterloo students, everyone else. So it may or may not be a bit easier. We'll see. I'm not sure. I haven't all my jobs are from internally, but it's strongly suggested that you apply to as much positions as possible. Oh, and another good thing that I forgot to put on my slide is there's sometimes they have these networking events where they have like companies do like maybe some of them's like it comes in the form of a company such as Capital One do a presentation in University of Waterloo. It's really good to attend those because you get to see the recruiters in person. Another one's where it's like just like a big open space and there's a bunch of recruiters around with their booths and can just visit them. Those are also really great. For those opportunities, you're much likelier to get an interview when comparing to just handing out resumes, right? So I would strongly suggest you attend as much of these events as possible. Okay, so down to the bottom right here, this is a bit of my self-intention. This is a link to a GitHub repository. GitHub repositories that I've been working on with my friend. So what it basically does is that it comes in the form of a web extension and a local script. So what happens is you clone this repository, it automatically generates cover letters for you if you're applying through a Waterloo Works, because it'll create like a button there just saying generate cover letter, which is somewhat helpful for you guys because writing up cover letters is very time consuming and a lot of people hate it. So I coded a thing to help you guys with that. If you like it, give me a star on GitHub. Moving on, job prospects. I think we're nearing the end of my presentation. So if you have questions, hold on for just a bit longer. These are some exemplars of jobs that you might see in the future. So CSBBA is a lot about, because we learned the technicalities of computer science and the practicality of business, we were kind of the merge of the two. So we can really do either side of the job. We can see very technical jobs like full stack developer, software engineer, also more business jobs, project manager, business analyst, consultant. I did not purposely arrange them in this order, but I guess I just it just happened. They're separated into technical and business jobs. But we also do a bunch of like because we know the both worlds. We also sometimes do some intermediate jobs like communicating upward management business goals to software developers. Things include like maybe IT analyst, things like that. And those positions are also very valid options for us. So I think this program is very good, CS BBA or Math BBA, because the future is very technical, right? And with all the business people with these unique ideas, we're kind of like a unique bridge that connects that connects like the past business smart concepts to the good bright tech future. So and especially in the future, I feel like we will come in very clutch because I feel like it will be becoming a stronger and stronger business requirement that you at least have some understanding of the technical aspect, right? Because I think with all the different things emerging, AI already emerging, blockchain emerging in the future, things like that, it's really important to know all those tech innovations in order to take advantage of them and develop business opportunities. So this is why I think our program is very good. And another reason is because you have a very broad range. So even if AI do take some of your jobs, you'll likely still have jobs left. So there's a bunch of pluses of our programs. Networking with other people is very important because in Waterloo, usually other students are next to you are also very good. So you would like to connect with them. So to open your future up and to make good friends. So for first years, from my experience, the best networking actually comes from your dorm. So I know Waterloo, all dorms have like requirements for like hosting like events. So you would pretty much be guaranteed like one event per weekend. So it'd be nice to attend those events, and it'll be like a really easy way to make some new quick friends in first year to get you started. Other things are things like events. Events are really cool. You meet a bunch of new people, even though because like, for example, orientation, right? You get to meet a bunch of different people in those events, especially in-person ones. You get to network with a bunch of people. And following that, clubs. If you attend clubs, you might get a bunch of friends, but clubs in Waterloo, are prevalent, but not as like comparatively not as prevalent as in Laurier. But in double degree, you can go to clubs at either school. So I'm just saying it's not prevalent as in terms of like I don't feel students are quite as active on an average scale. There's not as much active participants of clubs in Waterloo when compared to Laurier. And then last but not least, class. So in class, you got to be very, very careful when you network. Don't network in the middle of a class. When professor is teaching, don't start chatting with people around you. But after class, you can chat with with whoever is sitting next to you. Hey, what do you think about what you learned today? Or like, hey, do you want to do this? This is a collaboration, group work together, things like that. Right? It's all very good ways of networking, and together you'll be able to form a very good friend group. And which will likely help stable your emotions if you were to come over any challenges. And I think that's it for me today. And let me know if you have any questions. Awkward silence. So if you have questions, feel free to use the Zoom raise hand feature, and I'll get you guys and answer as, maybe in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see all your questions in the chat. Let me address them right now. Math contests can be considered as an extracurricular. Yes, they're really good extracurriculars. I just put them in a separate section because they're way too important, and Waterloo really value them. A list of the math CS concepts from Waterloo, CIMC, CSMC, Euclid, and then CCC being the programming one. Is grading at Waterloo bell curve? So depends on your course. I know a lot of some engineering courses bell curve it, but for CS courses, it's usually not bell curve. So if you do bad, what professors would do is they would like make the next test a bit easier, or in the best case, they would give everyone a few bonus marks on the very bad exam, or like maybe they'll just erase it and pretend it didn't exist. But usually they don't bell curve it, and usually they don't do anything if your mark's bad. What program do you suggest for preparing for CCC? So what do you mean program? Like CCC is like a high school contest. So if you want to prepare for CCC, maybe programming language, I would suggest C++ because officially every problem in CCC is guaranteed to be solvable in C++, but not in other languages. That being said, other languages can usually solve it too. But C++ usually give you the most control. The students in this program have a home university. Yes, you do. It depends on which university you apply from. So if you get in from the Laurier side, your home university is Laurier. If you get in from Waterloo side, your home university is Waterloo. What happens if the students fail to get a co-op placement? So first co-op placement fails. Waterloo, I only know from the Waterloo side. I don't know about Laurier, but Waterloo has this thing you can participate that gives you like half a co-op credit, which counts as like half a co-op. And for the set and in total, you can do that once and you can miss another co-op. And if you miss another one after that, then you're done. Then you're out of the co-op stream. How much can first year student make in year one or in year two? It really depends. It varies a lot. Some first year students might get like really good positions that gives them like, I don't know, like $30 per hour. Some might be, most might be probably earning around minimum wage, I would say. So in total, that would add up to maybe like 7K minimum, I would say. That's the bare minimum. I think people usually earn up more than 7K, 10K, probably more around like 10, 12K, something like that. Would you say that BBA CS double degree has much heavier workload than just CS degree? It depends. So CS BBA, while you do get a lot of CS, you also do get a lot of business, which is usually lighter than Waterloo. But again, in higher years, you have more mandatory courses. So in normal CS degree, you can choose a lot of lighter courses, like, I don't know, Chinese 101 to make your course load a bit lighter. But for us double degrees, a lot of your course, you have a lot narrower options. And I think you only get 4 completely free, like choose your own course in total. So that might make it a bit more stressful in upper years. What GPA do you need to get into Waterloo? So I don't know if high school does GPAs, but I think for the CS BBA program, it's 96 average from Waterloo. It's usually around it's mid 90s. I don't know the exact number, but mid 90s usually mean 95 and above. Would you be less competitive as an applicant if you didn't take computer science if your school provided it? No, if you didn't take computer science, Waterloo does not care. It's just suggested because if you don't take computer science, first year courses might be a bit challenging. Can you post the required courses after? Yes, I will. BBA and Ivy, Western is a similar course. I do know Western has a combined degree. Their BBA is probably better than Laurier courses, though probably not that much. Their CS courses probably slightly worse than Waterloo worse in terms of ranking. I'm just saying everything. I'm saying everything in terms of ranking. In terms of actual course quality and actual learning results, it's very individually mattered. If you get a 4.0 Western GPA versus a 2.0 University of Waterloo GPA, you're clearly learning better than Western. It's very individually based. But I would say it's very similar. Waterloo is probably more technical focused. Ivy is probably more business focused. That'll probably be the main difference. What is the main difference between getting in Waterloo side versus Laurier side? Yes, the only difference, you take the exact same courses. Maybe in first year, if you're getting Laurier side, your classmates are all Laurier side. First year, your Waterloo side, your classmates are all Waterloo sides. But starting from year 2, they kind of mix the two. So you get a blend of Laurier side and Waterloo side, and sometimes even like just normal CS or business students. And the only difference is really just your co-op. For Waterloo side, you use the Waterloo co-op program. For Laurier side, it's Laurier co-op program. So the Laurier co-op program isn't much worse than the Waterloo one. It's just the Laurier one is business focused. The Waterloo one's technical focused. So you get more CS jobs on Waterloo. You get more business jobs on Laurier. That's the most big difference. Top 5 universities you recommend for CS? I'm not really good at recommending universities because I personally don't know much universities. But in terms of Canada, I would say Waterloo, U of T, McMaster, McGill, and then the next one is probably going to be McMaster. I already said McMaster, so Western. How does Euclid compare to the difficulty of first year, second year math courses? Last question on Euclid, most definitely harder than for first year, second year math courses. first question on Euclid, most definitely easier. But it's really different. And what you learn in high school, well, first year is pretty similar because it's mostly calculus and algebra. But when you get into the upper years, you start using a bunch of like very different things. Like you learn logic, you use logic symbols. You learn like combinatorics, you learn like stats. All of these are very different from each other, very distinguished fields of mathematics. So also to consider your AMC, yes, AMC would just count as an average extracurricular. So it would just be the same as, I don't know, winning a debate competition in the U of T debate contest. Well, it will just be like a very strong math extracurricular. When Euclid, I would say, is still more important. How does Euclid compare to difficulty of first? I'll answer that. What is co-op again? Co-op is when you when companies hire you for on like a 4 or 8 month interval where you just work for that company, where they call it an internship, where they give you money, you work for them, and after that period of time, you go back to university. And the idea is basically that you get job experience while studying at university. Are there any study techniques I would recommend for higher efficiency? Especially for math. So a lot of people like working in the library, and I do think it's a very valid option. I personally don't do it because I like having a bunch of screens when I study, but working in the library is a very good option. Another good technique is maybe trying to put your phone as far away as possible, because I know a bunch of you guys like getting distracted your phone, or maybe even turning off internet at all and just working offline and just studying. And but if you really sink into it, you really sink into it. Like when you start thinking and you enter like the flow state, your mind just starts flowing. So as long as you don't get distracted, like you do that time block thing I was talking about, you're usually you'll usually do pretty well. What IB took is I took in high school. I did math HL. I did business management. Let me think what I did English HL, math HL, and what other HL did I do? I did physics SL. I did business management. I did, I might have done chemistry HL. But in general, in terms of for me personally, I felt like high school a bit more stressful. But again, I did try a lot harder in high school compared to university. 2 tough courses in first year as double degree. For most students, I would probably say let me scroll back. Let me see what courses there are. I would probably say honestly, maybe the 2 CS courses, if you're not familiar with CS, because now that I think of it, they would be a pretty steep climb if you did not know any CS at all. Is it common to see co-op out of Canada, out of Ontario? Yes, it's quite common. You can totally do that. You just need to write a letter to university telling them like, if you arrange it yourself, you just need to tell them you arrange it yourself and they'll be fine with it. If you put time and energy into doing well in math contests and no time, energy, and other extracurricular, it would certainly be a better investment of your energy. I would say so. If you only have, let's say you only have 2 units of energy and you invest both units to math contests, it will be better than investing both units in debate, because you're going to a more math program than a debate program. National Mathematics Scholarship, you can probably apply, so you could probably, that's not a question. Is there anything special about the admission information we should take note of? Admission, what do you mean admission information? So Waterloo is quite transparent of their admission information, except for some high schools, they do like this thing where like they adjust your mark a bit. So if your high school give really easy marks, Waterloo might, like, if you had like a 99 from a high school that gives like 99 to everyone, Waterloo might lower that to like a 95 or something. So that's a point of concern. So it's quite, now that I think, it's quite important to pick like good high schools where like the marks are not too easy to get. Okay. So because Waterloo do adjustments to your grades. If your high school is very hard on your marks, they'll give you bonus marks. If they really easy on your marks, they'll take marks off. Is there anything special about admission information we should take? Where I answered that. Or was I? What other programs do you get into alongside from Waterloo/Laurier double degree? So I think for Waterloo, I applied to CFM and as well as some engineering. It was either computer engineering and electric engineering. I cannot remember, but I think I got into both of them. And so my first acceptance was actually U of T CS. I got that early, and it was really pretty. I got like a letter and stuff like that. What else did I apply to? The only thing I didn't apply to was, I think I didn't get into that I applied to was, I think, Queen's Commerce. How's the difficulty of CCC senior contest problem compared to first year coding course? CCC senior contest problem, CCC problem 4 on senior contest, probably year 4 CS course level, way harder. But that being saying, it's hard in a different way. CCC asks you to know algorithms, where like first year, it's kind of getting kind of testing more of like the intuition aspects of it. Is it possible to switch into CS from software engineer? I would say probably, because software engineer, I am aware, is quite hard. Do you know about other programs of the math faculty like Farm? Yes, I am aware of Farm, because my roommate in my apartment takes Farm. And from my understanding, Farm is no longer going to exist like in the coming years. I think it's going to get merged into STAT. And for those programs, okay, I have personally a bit of beef with actuarial science because I don't like actuarial science. So I might be a bit biased, but I do think it's a very good program. Do you know if it's possible to drop the BBA if you're getting through Laurier? Okay, I was anticipating this question. So it is possible. You are allowed to just keep your Waterloo CS, but it would be unlikely and difficult. Okay, so it would be unlikely and difficult. And and if you do drop out, I think you would just be in the normal, like non-co-op stream CS. What's the difference between CFM and CS BBA? So CFM is just purely Waterloo sided. BBA, you get a lot of more like for CFM, you really, in the business side, you really only learn like the finance accounting side and maybe economics. You don't for BBA, you also learn things like organization behavior, human resource management, all the stuff like that, and also marketing. I'm not sure from what year it is. I only heard that from my roommate who's taking Farm. You would need to double check on the website. Are you taking CCC student? I would, but historically I have not been the best at teaching CCC, but maybe we'll open a course in LinkedKey for that. We'll see. That being said, I'm not representing any official decision of LinkedKey. That's just me saying whatever things I was thinking of on my brain. And I am not, I teach younger mathematics students. Any other questions? That was an accident, how I just closed the slide there. Let me bring it back up. Back to the slide. Anyways, where were we? What was your Euclid score? Do you remember? I do not remember, but I don't think it was that high. I think my Euclid score was maybe like 85, something around that, but I wasn't on the honor roll. I did get top 25% though, but that's not that big of an achievement. Any other questions? Do I recommend using Java for CCC? Personally, I would not recommend Java for 2 main reasons, being that you type it's a bit annoying because everything's so long to type. That being the first reason. So typing long things isn't really good for it's not that good for time, because it's a timed contest. And also Java runs well, you do get quite a bit options for internal like management, like micromanaging your program, but I would still suggest C++ as the best programming language for contests. Is honor roll top 10%? I am actually not sure what determines your honor roll. Are there a lot of female students in CSB? Yes, there's quite a bit CS students, but this might how do I frame this? Like a lot of people in CS, like especially in the summer, they smelly. I'll just leave it there. A lot of the people, they're kind of smelly. Yes, but there is a lot of female students. But that being said, I don't think Waterloo would give you an edge. Like they would make it easier for you if you're a female student. Like I don't I don't think like in admissions they aim for any like gender balance target. So so I guess that's just an extra piece of information. Is Python recommended? Python is a very good programming language. People do use this for CCC and it's a very valid option. You can, because for every single program you can do a contest with it. Even if you learn a language like BrainF, right? You can still do contests with it. But Python, it's more of a, Python's really like, I would recommend, well, it would be marginally harder to do CCC with Python, but Python, in terms of long-term development, it would be a really good language to know your ways around, because all the machine learning things, all the data science things are all on Python. How many students CS BBA get into Waterloo each year? Not many students. I think around, this is from my mom, which might not be that accurate, but I think around like 100 maybe. And like the year before me, I heard from my classmates, it was like 50, 60, something like that. So not that much students. CC grade doesn't support BrainF. Well, that sucks. Is finding housing every semester difficult? Usually it's not that difficult, as long as you don't procrastinate until the like literally the last second, right? Like usually you will want to start looking for jobs like a term or half a term ahead, and you'll be pretty, you'll be doing pretty fine for getting a house. And the best way of getting a house, so for me, I rent directly from like a big company. So like I sublease my my apartment out. So I guess if you guys need apartments, you can like ask me, but it's but usually I would say like just ask around, like maybe your friends, and like wander around, like ask different, it's just asking different people, really. I don't think there's a centralized posting platform, but you could go on places like Facebook Marketplace, or like Kijiji, where you might occasionally find some postings. My Gmail, I'll give you my easy to find email. It's me at leochai.com. It's easy to remember. It's just my name. So if you have anything, any additional questions or anything you want to reach out with, feel free to reach out. What time is it? Any other questions?
Leo，等会儿你是不是可以用中文，把一些重要的再讲一下？
哦，对，我完全忘了。哎呀，我说了一半，我完全忘了。哎呀，
对，我看有好多那个家长离开了哈，他们可能是需要。那你先休息5分钟，然后我回答几个同学们的问题，好吗？
行，我去喝杯水，我马上回来。
啊，好嘞，我需要share screen 一下。好，我就用中文了哈。我那个回答一下那个刚才有个问题，有的同学问那个 admission 的问题哈，就说每一个专业需要那个哪些课程。其实这个呢哈，在大学的网站上就能查到，大家看那个 Waterloo 的这个网站。那么我这里呢哈列出了几个和 Computer Science 有关的。首先咱看这个直接看 Computer Science 这个专业，看哈，这里是一些介绍，然后下边呢哈就有他们需要什么OK 这里admission requirement 这里有几门课，首先 Advanced Functions， 然后 Calculus Vector， 然后 Grade 12 English， 就是这3门是最主要的。然后其他的呢哈是几门私有课程就可以了。好，这是他们需要的。另外呢，下边呢这里写着这个关于竞赛的问题。好，这里呢哈他写着强烈推荐参加。这一个是因为它是计算机科嘛哈，计算机系嘛哈，所以他要求参加 CCC， 这就计算机竞赛。然后呢，这是 CSMC， 这是一个数学竞赛。12年级的 CSMC， 然后这是 Euclid 是 已经有几十年了哈。原来他们只要求这个 Euclid 竞赛，最近呢哈，最近这几年又增加了这2个竞赛。另外呢哈，这里还说呢哈，如果你想拿到这个数学系的 scholarship， 就是奖学金的话呢哈，一定要参加这2门数学竞赛，就是 CSMC 和 Euclid。好，这是这个Computer Science 的这个专业的。然后我们再看一下，比如这个 double degree 吧哈，这是 Business 和 Computer Science 的。我记得应该也是差不多的。OK， 这是这个 admission requirement， advanced functions calculus vector， grade 12 English。 OK， 也是这个，也是这样的啊。然后好，竞赛呢也是这几个。哦，这里没有 CCC， 因为它不是这个计算机专业了，它是 CSMC 和 Euclid。OK， 所以这些呢哈，大家都可以在网上查到。同学们呢哈，既然你要上大学了，你要学习自己做这个 research 这些东西。另外呢哈，刚才那个 Leo 说了哈，上大学以后呢哈，这个数学的东西比较多。如果同学们那个在这个假期里要做好准备的话，一定注意，首先你上了大学，第1学期、第2学期呢哈，都要学那个微积分 calculus。如果你已经在那个 IB High Level 里学过那个，你学的是 IB program， 然后还学的是 High Level Math 的话，那么说明你的数学基础了已经很 strong 了，所以你大学1年级我觉得就不用担心了。如果是你学的 Stand Level 或者其他的 program 呢哈，那么注意大学的第1学期和第2学期呢哈都有微积分课程。这2个呢哈，是比较重要的。如果你觉得你准备的不够充分的话呢，我们学校里有这个今年夏天有这个课程，我给大家授一下。等一下啊。这个对不对？能看到吗？是。OK， 这是我们学校夏天的课程呢哈，其中这里哈，这个 Misaga Campus 这里边哈有个 University Courses， 这是为我们今年毕业准备上大学的同学这2
我也做了，那帮你，想吃也没有了。
好，这一门课呢哈是 Calculus for University。
那哪个你不吃啊？
哎，请不要说话。
我没有哪个让你不吃。
这个呢哈，Calculus for University 10次课，那么是把这个，那位同学请不要说话。他是把这个大学1年级第1学期的 calculus， 他是按照 Waterloo 的Waterloo University of Waterloo 他的课本来讲的。是让大家呢哈学得更顺利一些。这个10次课呢不包括高中你已经学过的 calculus 内容，它是大学的一部分。另外呢哈，这一门非常重要 Linear Algebra， 这个呢课呢哈可以说是它比起它是这个多数学生都要学一门课哈，就叫我们中文呢叫线性代数。它比起高中的这个2维图像和代数哈，这是大学生们说的哈。这个线性代数这门课呢，比起高中的2维图像和代数，它主要学矩阵的计算部分的哈，它是需要完全不同的思维方式。相比之下呢，就好像进入了另一个次元啊。如果同学们不在大学开学前呢哈，对课程有所了解，做好准备的话呢，学习起来会非常吃力。 这个课程呢，用10次课的时间，让大家呢提前学习线性代数有关的向量、向量空间、矩阵的定义。哎，这个小助手，请让那个谁呀？是 Leo 还是哪个同学把这个声音 mute 掉？小助手帮忙一下。好，这个课程呢，让大家提前学习线性代数有关的向量、向量空间、矩阵等等这个运算规则从这个让大家呢第一年呢快速了解这个适应线性代数课程的学习。这个呢，它是一个 bridge 的课程，它不是把这个线性代数全给你讲了，而是从高中的数学到线性代数的一开始这一部分，让大家把这门课适应了不至于一开始就给大家一个非常大的冲击晕头了好多学生呢在学这门课的时候呢，一开始一部分呢都非常晕，到时候你真是觉得非常难了再来找那个补习就晚了。这个呢，一共10次课，我跟大家说一下另外呢作为老师呢，我还想提醒大家，如果你上了大学以后觉得功课非常难，要觉得哇，我不得不 drop 了在这之前你觉得非常难的时候一定要找老师、找家长寻求帮助，不要到了真正要 drop 课程的时候呢再给大家再说。不要自己闷着，到了实在没办法了在那时候寻求帮助呢可能是老师和家长要帮你呢也比较难了当然，不管什么时候都要寻求帮助，不要自己闷着因为老师和家长呢都在时刻准备着在帮助同学们所以一定要寻求帮助不要自己那个闷头想不开或者怎么样好 ，Leo， 你准备好了那个跟大家用中文再讲一讲重要的部分了吗？
没问题。
好嘞。我stop sharing， 你在需要 share 什么你再说，你再 share 吧哈。
我分享一下的屏幕比较重要的部分是指我看看从哪里开始，我的自我介绍 timeline program overview 这是大学要学的一些东西，我这个好像已经大家要学的，比如说比较基础的数学，大学的数学会比高中数学更加有一些很大的区别，像王老师说的一样，大学数学更会更加抽象一些，具体来说，也会分得特别广，就比如说我们有统计学就是需要画图表，更多的是总结，但是还有像是逻辑，就是需要你进行很多的思考，基本上全都是你在脑子里想。也就是然后像这种就可能会需要很多精力，需要花很多时间computer programming 指的是你具体的编程就比如说我们编一个程序，怎么让代码里面的逻辑更清晰，怎么能让代码以后长时间的能够持久的去维护这些之类的内容data structure 和 algorithm， 就是一些我们能让代码跑得更快的方法像这种一般找工作的时候他们考的题会有很多类似这种的题，然后呢你比较技术比较高层次的人也会需要很多这方面的知识。Software engineer 就是你设计一个就是你一个软件的一个基本的一个设计，就比如说我要用一般更多是会有一些比较底层的东西比如说软件的底层的逻辑选择我要做这么一个软件，我需要用哪些工具来做operating system 就是我们电脑它那个操作系统，它操作系统还非常底层的知识内容我们也会学，就像是比如说我的内存里面我要怎么分配内存，我现在我要跑一个新程序，我要怎么分配内存，我怎么分配我的 CPU 的时间，都是很专业的东西。然后最后就是 social implication 就像是你就是需要我们去考虑我们所编的东西对社会以及对未来的那个人类产生的影响 游戏音乐这方面的法律暂时目前还没跟上我们创新的节奏，所以我们得自己也稍微掌握一下这方面的知识。在我们的 Laurier side 呢，我们会学很多很经典的这些 business 的内容，像 finance accounting 但是这部分有好多都不知道中文怎么翻译，所以基本上就是比较business marketing marketing 我也不知道怎么说，就是business 一般比较基本的一些 function， 像是当然那个 business 法我们会学。很多我们会学，我还会学一些比较管理阶层的东西，怎么管理怎么管理人团队合作怎么合作最好之类的知识内容我们会学一些。然后当然更加数学偏向的，比如说我们会计方面的内容，或者预测一些未来的经济走向，我们会稍微学一些。Co-op sequence 这就是我们学习的顺序。我们最开始会先有2个学期的那个 study sequence， 就这2个学期学生会上课。然后呢，第3个学期呢，我们紧接着就会有一个就会是我们的第一个work term， 就是第一个 co-op。double degree 的学生他都是在这个sequence， 其他 degree 的学生可能会有一些不同的 sequence， 有一些不同的选项。那 double degree 的学生在前2年都是完全一样的。等到第3年或者第5年之后，你可以去找你的 advisor 写封邮件，跟他们要求说，想换一个，让他们有可能会让你换。当然，要是你真的有什么必须要换的条件的话，他们也肯定会让你换的，不会让你没法毕业，对吧？大家都努力，会很努力的让你能够毕业。然后，当然很重要的一个点就是我们因为我们1年3个学期，每个学期4个月，所以基本上就没有什么假期时间。我们在我们的秋季，我们有一个冬天的圣诞节假；在我们的春季，我们有一个3月的一个 spring break。然后在我们的夏季，我们就基本上是就算是就基本上就没有假期了。然后如果你幸运的话，如果你的那个每个有一个学期的期末考试都比较提前的话，你可能在学期末可能会有1个星期、2个星期的空余时间。但是我们是没有那个真正的长时间的放松的假期的，所以基本上就是很满的 schedule。所以这就是为什么可能会压力比较大。然后尤其在申请方面呢，有几个要求。首先是要求有中90的平均分，一般这个就代表你的平均分是95分以上。然后呢，当然你95分你的分数的重要性是随着你的分数而浮动的。如果你的分数很低的话，你的分数重要性很高，因为你必须得把分数提上去。那当你分数提过这个平均线之后，你更重要就一些你的那个 extracurricular， 就是你参加一些课外活动。就比如说我有一个平均分95分的学生和一个平均分96分的学生。平均分的95分的学生，如果在 Euclid 上如果参加了 Euclid， 即使没拿奖，他参加了 Euclid， 画图也会优先考虑95分的孩子。OK， 所以分数在之后的竞争如果你过了那个分数平均线，它的竞争更多是看你的那个课外活动。那课外活动滑铁卢看的并不是你课外活动有多广，而是你每一个课外活动你那个能做的有多好，对吧？比如说我可以去选择我既做 debate， 我又做 MUN， 我又做 DECA， 我又做数学，我又做 CCC， 我所有的都做。但是我每个如果都做的都不是特别出色的话那滑铁卢不会是特别喜欢这种，因为他看你 extracurricular 是看你的一个能力的表现。比起你同时做5个东西，每个都做的不是特别好，他更愿意去看你把精力能够 focus 在你所最重视的东西上面。比如说我很重视音乐，然后结果我的钢琴全加拿大第1，然后你能说出这种话也是才是很重要。他要看你能在一个东西上面的坚持，以及一个能够出现表测的能力。当然最重要的那个课外活动就是这个数学和计算机竞赛，主要是数学竞赛。但是因为我们这是 CS BBA 也会考虑 CS 竞赛也很重要。但是它的主要原因呢，是为了因为每个学校它的对于学生的每个老师对于学生的要求都不一样，有的老师可能会给分轻松一些，有的老师会给分难一些。他看你数学竞赛就是为了能看到你真正的数学水平，因为那个你的 Euclid 数学竞赛能从最简单的题到特别难的题都有，应有尽有，所以他就能从数学竞赛看到你比较真实的一个相对于所有全国其他孩子来说的这么一个数学水平，所以他会比较看重他的数学竞赛而且另外一个原因就是因为这个是这个学校主办的，所以也会比较看重一些。像丽丽老师刚才说的数学竞赛 Canadian Senior Math Contest、Euclid， 还有计算机竞赛就是 CCC， 这3个都比较重要。哎，然后当然你要考得特别好的话，其实也不简单，你需要进行很多的准备。然后呢，然后这些准备当然也是要按部就班的进行尽量我当时给的建议是，就是广年的题一定要练，尽量的能练多少就练多少而且每次做题的时候，如果不会的题呢，不要立刻放弃看答案，等一会儿或者再做一道题，然后回来再试一试，多试几次，实在不行然后再看答案。多给一些练习，能够培养你的数学思维。required courses 这些就是在滑铁卢网站上都有说，你必须要在高中take 一些课，你才能进入这个program， 包括12年级英语、微积分、12年级数学然后其他我就记不太清楚了，但是网站上有，一定要自己去看，一定要注意，一定要这些课都要 take。course selection 这是我们1年级的课。那当时有人问比较难的是哪个呢？就是如果你没学过计算机相关内容的话，比较难的就是 CS 135或 CS 136，因为它会给你很大的一个你要瞬间学很多东西。然后呢还有很难的就是这个 calculus， 这 linear algebra， 这2个对于尤其之前基础打的不是非常扎实的学生来说会很 challenging。OK， 因为 calculus 大学的 calculus 就学得很快，你从因为它是我们 calculus 1是基本上很高中的 calculus 会有一些 revisit， 但是它给你的时间会特别的短。如果你高中学的不扎实的话，你就需要既同时学习高中和大学1年级的知识，就会很费劲。然后 linear algebra 呢是会跟我们之前学的 algebra 像王老师说的一样，区别十分的大。我想想怎么形容呢？线性方程在高中学的方程更多是比较会更 abstract 一些，就比如说我们会想这个图表长什么样，那个线性方程它就是给你一个阵列，让你怎么算，就是这种东西。我也不知道能不能解释的很好，但是会跟高中的数学有很大的差别。然后要是想上手的话，是有一定难度的。所以尤其是在这个第一个 Math 136的课我身边很多朋友都会有一些 struggle。当然在2年级会稍微好一些，所以不用太过于担心以后的长久的 effect。然后要是你太担心的话，实在不行，你3年级以后就不用学相似的东西，学些其他的。但是1年级这节课是一个很 steep 一个很 steep 的一个坡去爬。这些是你要毕业的你需要完成的课，这是滑铁卢需要你完成的课，这是 Lori 需要你完成的课，大家都能看到有很多哈。然后所以呢我建议的就是滑铁卢网站上它会有一个course checklist 和一个 course roadmap 就是告诉你要先学哪些课然后才能学之后哪些课，就基本上能告诉你大概一个学的顺序。然后 checklist 就能帮你记住哪些课你学过，哪些课你还要学。然后你每次大学选课的时候，我都建议你去重新看一看，别到时候选错课或者漏了课，导致你有些课上不了。如果你有些课上不了，最坏的情况你就可能被迫要从这个 program 里 drop 出来了。比如说你要是到第3年了，但是你还学不了第3年的 business course， 因为你之前的第2年级的第二学期的一个什么课你没上。那你可能就得从 business drop out 了，你就没法继续在 double degree 下去了。所以选课很重要。时间管理最重要，我觉得最好的方式是你能有个日历。我在我的 PPT 右下角这儿有一个链接，是去一个 Chrome extension， 这 Chrome extension 能帮你下载你在滑铁卢它的学生的那个网站上，你看你课程表的地儿，能让你直接把它下载成一个日历的格式所以我觉得很好，很有帮助，省你去打那么多字。然后老师在每个课在第1节课的时候，老师都会过一遍这个课的结构，什么它的评分标准呀，然后它的每个什么作业要什么时候交 ，project 要考试什么时候考。然后我就建议你在这些时候 能把你老师讲的这些东西都直接放到日历里头，而这很方便你去一眼的能看到，哎呀，我最近有哪些事儿要干。然后呢，尤其是当你事儿多的时候，这个会让你产生一些安心感，让你没那么急。但是你全靠脑子记的话，你有可能记不清啊，也会有很多的 stress 啊。当然要是你对自己大脑很自信，非要拿大脑记的话 ，you do you 啊。prioritization 重要的事情要先做啊。有的时候有可能我们有很多事情有很多同时性一起发生，你就一定要把最重要的东西先做完。OK。因为有时候你确实事情就是真的做不完了，然后当然同时你先从重要的做，一般来说也会让你做东西的效率会更高一些，所以也会有帮助你做更多的事情。time blocking 就是说我每次尤其是做数学作业的时候，我都习惯就是划分出这一个区段的时间，1个小时、2个小时或者3个小时，但是3个小时我确保我没有其他事情要做，所以我就可以专心注意力特别集中的就只是想我现在做的事情啊，这样呢就能帮助你做事情做得更加 efficient， 尤其是像滑铁卢的一些数学方面的东西，因为它需要很多的思考。如果你受到打扰注意力分散，你可能需要花很长时间才能再找回状态。所以找到这个状态，这个 time blocking 是很有帮助的。还有一个点就是睡觉睡觉很重要。如果你睡眠不足的话，你很多东西你是想不出来的，你想不出来，你就要花很多时间、很多其他的方法去找这样是很不值得的。与其你去少睡那么3个小时，能让你多写点东西，你还不如多睡这3个小时，这样你写数学作业能快很多，对吧？比如说你累的话，你大脑转的没那么快，你可能需要6个小时才能做完一个东西。但如果你睡得好的话，你大脑转得很快，状态很好，你可能1个小时就做完了。所以你看上去你不睡觉是在给你更多的学习时间，其实不然其实你睡觉也是很重要，你有足够的精力才能做足够的事情。self care 对自己也要足够的注重。OK， 滑铁卢知名的压力很大的大学，如果你不高兴的话，你出去散散心，对吧？你要想想对自己什么是最重要的。你为什么要来上大学？是为了让自己以后工作轻松，过得开心。如果你现在过得太不开心了怎么办？就过开心一点呗，对吧？一定不要忘了你最后的最终目的。所以一定要花一些时间，需要的时候放松一下，需要的时候找朋友聊聊天，不要给自己压力太大了。co-op 找工作的内容找工作内容首先是找工作的时候你的时间会很紧，因为你在找工作的时候你同时还要学习，经常尤其是第2个 cycle 找工作的时候，经常会和你期中考试的时间重合，所以就会很费时间。然后工作好窍门呢，就是提前准备好你的简历和一些 cover letter。cover letter 就是给每个不同的招聘者写的那么一封信，我不知道中文叫什么。然后呢，你还可以进行一些 interview preparation， 就是准备你的这 interview 的话，我一般建议就是尝试去回答一些比较常见的 interview question 因为你回答 interview question， 你基本上都是要找你一个比如说你最近 solve 的一个 challenge， 或者你跟别人产生 conflict 你怎么做，你找这些 example， 就是你找到这些你脑子里都能想到一些这样的例子，你能转得很快，能转到哪的话，基本上就没问题了。另外一个点就是可能会你编程的会有一些 technical interview， 就要求你在现场编程。这种时间呢，我就会建议你去练习的方式跟 CCT 差不多，基本上就是去刷一些编程的题可以在一些 Lead Code 这样的网站上找到，或者 Dmod 也可以。side project 就是说，在你尤其是第一份工作之前，你可能简历上没什么东西，所以你可以做一些自己的小 project 放在简历上，然后可以跟别人说，哎，你看我做过这个，很厉害吧？然后这样他们更有可能去招聘你。然后最后呢，就是一定要多投简历，你投的越多你得到一份interview 的可能性就更大。当然不只是投简历也一定要有时候也会有一些小的 event， 就是说招聘者会去每个人都会有一个小的一个 station在一个大的房间里头，然后就去那儿的话，你去那块地方投简历跟别人说话的话，你得到一个 interview 的可能性会大大提升。然后右下角是我和我朋友搞的一个小程序，能帮你生成 cover letter， 因为写的比较花时间要是你感兴趣的话可以去看一看。Jobs prospect CS BBA 有很多的工作都能去干比如说更加 technical 的，像是程序员呀这种东西，或者比较 business 一些的，像是 project manager 和 consultant， 德洛伊的 consultant 你都能干。 对吧？所以我们的就业面就是特别的广，尤其是在现在这个工作不是很稳定的社会，未来很多东西都很浮荡的社会面广一些，我觉得会有很大的帮助。另外一个就是我觉得因为现在科技越来越重要了嘛，在以后如果你想做 business 的话，可能科技是你对有一些对于计算机的理解是或不可缺的，所以我觉得会对你不管你想做哪个方向，都会对你有很大的帮助。因为怎么说呢？像是你看滑铁卢只学 CS 的学生，他也会漏到他会可能会communication 沟通不会是没有那个像学 business 学生那么强，所以学了 business 之后可能会也会对这方面有一些帮助咱们继续 networking 就是社交交朋友。我觉得交朋友最好的一年级交朋友最好的方式是在你的你的宿舍，因为宿舍滑铁卢有要求，一定要要求他会去每周会去组织一些活动，然后你这些活动你频繁参加的话，你就能多认识人滑铁卢的学生你身边的学生也大概都是好学生，好学生认识多了没坏处，对吧？多认识朋友以后的机会也会更多所以最好的认识方法就是第一，就是最简单的就是你这个你的宿舍它的那些小活动。其次的就是滑铁卢办的更大的一些活动人会很多，你的 orientation 第一年 orientation 也会有很多人去像这种活动你可以结交一些朋友，然后就是一些 club， 就比如说摄影部我在的厨艺部不知道怎么说反正这些部里头也能认识很多人，能交一些跟你兴趣相投的朋友。最后就是上课的时候，然后上课又不能课上跟同学聊天下课之后可以跟同学聊一聊知识点，聊一聊作业怎么做之类的，这是一个很好交朋友的方式。但不管哪个方式交朋友是很重要的。如果你上滑铁卢没有朋友你会很孤单，然后你压力一大就没有人聊天，就会很伤心。所以交朋友很重要，我十分建议你们大家都去交朋友然后这就基本上都过了一遍有什么问题的话，中文的也可以随时跟我问。Is there any businesses opt out of double degree? Yes, I do know of some. So some people they don't like business or they don't like CS, so they switch to one another. Generally, it's because I'm Waterloo side, so I know more Waterloo people. So generally, I know more people that drops out of business. What do you suggest to someone that is really shy and still want to make friends? If you're shy and you still want to make friends, so I don't. So because I'm hesitating because there's different types of shies. There's the type of there's the IRL shy, whereas you're really active online, and which is you talk a lot online. In that case, you just make friends online. Just talk to people in Discord clubs and Discord groups, and then meet them up IRL, and then it'll totally be fine. If you're shy in both ways, I would say if you the easiest way if you're shy is the most efficient way is probably from your group projects from business, because you're kind of forced to communicate to people and the people's forced to communicate with you. So because you're doing the project, so just kind of try your best to participate in more group sessions. So when you're doing the project, try to do things together with other people more. So that kind of gives you an opportunity and for you to communicate more, and that helps you make more friends. Another thing is maybe going to clubs, right? For example, you go to a fencing club and you work on fencing with this partner. Sooner or later, you guys will become friends. So things happen.
这个问题我说一下Leo，我插一下嘴那个 if you're shy， 你可以帮助同学 help other people。比如你 shy 的话，是因为你不太爱和其他同学说，你不好意思主动去说，但是呢，你可以用你的行动你去做比如你学功课的时候，你知道某一部分同学们都觉得很难，哪个题大家都不会做，你可以做出来告诉大家或者贴在哪里，当然是允许的情况下不能 cheat 那么这样的你用你自己的行动来告诉大家呢，我想交朋友，我愿意帮助大家，那么而且我有能力帮助大家，那自然其他同学会来找你 啊。如果你用行动去帮助大家，去告诉大家，我想 make friends， 那么自然有人来找你啊。就像我们中国人说的什么，怎么那个你要花开了，那个蝴蝶就来，我忘了那句话是怎么说的。这样，好，没有你继续。
还有其他问题吗？中文的问题也可以问我，我会读中文的。
好，大家把问题直接问或者写在 chat 里哈。我再补充一下刚才 Leo 说的哈，这个课外活动的事哈。课外活动包括你参加一些 club， 还有那个竞赛哈。他刚说的一个这个拿到 offer 的那个需要看一些课外活动。他的意思是，比如他的这个最低你这个进入 CS 这个专业要95分的话呢，那么95分以上的学生，不管是你96、97哈，那么他都在一条线上了，都是你超过了95。那么你上边再看什么？这时候就看课外活动了。如果你那个竞赛或者 club 做的特别好，那么这时候就非常重要了。那么你有个学生97分，有个学生95分，那么你课外活动比较好的那个学生呢，那么哪怕你是95分，要比那个课外活动或者竞赛不够好的那个97分甚至98分的学生那么也更有优势。现在大家传说98分、99分都不能保证你能拿到 offer， 那么可能是你这其他的课外活动、竞赛这方面很苍白，没大有这方面的。那我知道呢，有一年有一个学生，他平均94分，那么他因为那个 Euclid 的竞赛成绩不错那么都拿到了 offer。所谓那个不错呢，就是2020年那一年，就是疫情的第一年。那么因为那一年呢 Euclid 的竞赛停止了。Euclid 竞赛是在4月初竞赛嘛我们疫情 lockdown 是在3月中旬。那么滑铁卢大学它来不及做这个准备，所以那年的 Euclid 的竞赛就没有了。那么很多学生呢没有那个 Euclid 的成绩来补充你这个课外活动的优势。但是呢，有一个学生，他因为他在11年级的时候他就参加了 Euclid 竞赛，当然他那个成绩不是说非常好，是整整70分。70分是一个不错还可以的成绩，但是说如果在12年级的话呢，就不是说特别漂亮。但是因为他是11年级的参加的，也就是2019年参加的，而在2020年呢很多学生都没有这个成绩，那么他就拿到了这个 CS 的 offer。那么当时妈妈和孩子呢非常兴奋的给我打电话，就说他们觉得没有希望了，滑铁卢 CS 的 offer 他觉得没有希望，因为他才平均94分嘛但是呢他竟然拿到了 offer。他们想了一下，全家人讨论了一番，说孩子没有什么其他的亮点，看来就是这个 Euclid 的70分，那么给了他们一个非常大的帮助。所以呢不管是数学竞赛，我刚才说的2个数学竞赛，还有一个计算机竞赛，还是有你其他的 club 做得非常好的，那么这个呢是对你达到了这个基本的大约95分了。现在95分应该是个基本成绩是一个后面呢就是一个比较好的帮助了。另外呢大家如果想知道我应该怎么挖掘我这些好的地方呀、亮点呀，怎么去申请大学你可以跟我们学校的那个小助手跟我们校长来讨论一下。我们学校呢对大家申请大学，不管是申请加拿大的大学还是那个美国的大学，都有专门的那个辅导课程，或者就是跟我们学校里老师或者校长谈一谈，就是钟老师和那个我们校长谈一谈，他们都有非常丰富的经验大家那个就是找他们就是了那个好，我补充这么一点。Leo继续。那么大家还有什么问题请在 chat 里写出来，或者是直接问就是了。大家unmute 一下，您直接问就可以我们大约再来5分钟、10分钟。今天晚上的讲座，那个Leo一个人讲了将近2个小时。你看他这个 Leo 呢他就是一个比较愿意说的孩子 他在我们学校里教4年级数学，因为他还是大学生嘛，我们只让他教比较低的年级哈。那其实他的尤克里的当时是考得挺不错的哈。他的课程呢就非常幽默，所有的小孩子都Leo老师，Leo老师啊，那个这个锻炼是非常重要的。那个同学们呢，就家长们呢，要 push 自己的孩子出去哈，在高中的时候就出去要那个参加一些活动哈，一些课程来锻炼。好，大家还有什么问题？这个老师在等着。有一位家长还不是同学，悄悄地问我们这个夏天这个 Calculus for University 讲哪一部分内容我们是根据那个滑铁卢的这个 Math 135，我记得 Leo 刚才在那个 PPT 上写着了哈，有 Math 135，有 Math 137，我们是讲 Math 135的全部内容，当然去掉了高中你学的 Calculus 的东西这个是 Math 135，包括了 Math 135的全部，但是去掉了你高中的 Calculus Vector 的部分。那么包括 Math 137的70%的内容，因为 Math 137呢还有一部分证明内容这些证明的那一部分不包括所以是这样的。那么这个课呢是主要就是根据滑铁卢的教材来讲的。那么这个说到这个补习呢希望同学们和家长们一定利用这个暑假多做些准备，不要上了学以后觉得那个困难了再找周围的补习班。我给大家说一下每个大学呢周围呢可能都有一些补习班他们呢其实就是为了让学生呢能够 pass 这个 exam，拿一些过去老师的课那个卷子呀或什么的来讲一讲，不是真正帮助同学们提高成绩的是来那个这个就是为了应付考试的大家尽量不要用这些方式，这个其实说实在的有点我感觉有点 cheat 的这个因素当然如果你实在没有办法了 OK whatever 我不管了那个好 Leo 在这方面有什么那个经验吗？就是说如果真的就觉得哇我非常难 pass 这个 exam 那怎么办呢？
首先一般来说如果你每次上课你课你觉得难的话，你去上课，你上课你每次都上课的话，你作业都做的话，一般不会特别难。OK， 所以你每次上课一直在刷抖音，不然你每次听讲的话基本没问题。要是你发现没有办法的话呢，因为有一些 Lori 的老师他有的时候很坏，他会给你滑球也有一些会这样，就会给你题不给你答案，所以有东西做，但是不知道你做东西做不对，所以就是有些网站像Chegg 或 Coursera 他们可能会上面有一些这种答案，当然不要用它作弊我只是说学习目的的使用。就是有老师给你题你不知道答案，你怎么去学习呢？你可以到这些网站上当然是付费的也可以去上面去看看，说不定有这个题，然后就能看到答案，然后就能摸出来原来是这么弄的，原来是错在这儿了，是这种感觉。然后呢，另外一个好的方法呢，就是也可以跟朋友问一问跟你的同桌讨论讨论，哎呀，这个我不会之类的。然后如果再不行呢，一般来说，老师在考试之前都会给你一些那个复习内容。如果不给复习内容的话，你就可以直接去看老师的网上那个 post 的 PPT， 你都读一遍，对吧？如果不理解的话，滑铁卢会有一个 Piazza， 你可以在上面问，就是一个像一个小论坛那么个东西，同学都在上面问问题，让老师和 TA 或者其他同学会在上面回答。你可以那样问一些你不懂的问题。然后 Lori 的话呢，一般你可以是直接给老师写邮件问，老师都会回答的，而且回答一般都会很快。
这点真是说的非常好。好，大家还有什么问题？我们在最后几分钟，没有的话，我们今天晚上就这个讲座就结束了。大家都挺辛苦的。
What does the number mean? 135 OK, so the number doesn't mean anything. 第一个数字是代表你是哪年，是给哪年的，就是一就是 generally for first year，二就是 generally for second year。你看下面这个341就是 generally 第3年的，后面这2个数字就是很随机了，就是只要是每个课程都给2个不同的数字就行。So it doesn't really have a meaning.
我明白的呢是那个137的课程要比135难一些，是吧？
Yeah. 137 not really 137是 calculus， 135是 algebra， 所以就是不同的东西。
对对对。
Right. Okay. So depends. Some problems you can chat with your friends, some you cannot. 所以就是老师有的时候你的问题可以让你跟同学讨论，有的不可以。尤其是滑铁Lori的基本上都行，滑铁卢有时候对这有要求。So for Waterloo questions, refer to your course outline or like a assignment sheet. They'll usually tell you if you can chat with your friends.
Yeah. 那没有什么问题了，咱就到此结束吧。谢谢大家一直坚持这么长时间。如果有什么问题呢，那么像同学们呢，学生可以给Leo老师写信那么还有什么问题呢？家长们可以找我们的小助手，好吧？好嘞，那么大家再见，谢谢，
拜拜。
谢谢Leo老师，拜拜。